The question is, are people, when they get to heaven, married? Is there marriage in heaven? Now, when I raised that question, or somebody raised that question, and I answered it several years back, we received a lot of responses from people who really didn't understand that when we get to heaven, there is no marriage. What, Chuck, do you base that on? What is the premise by which you make that decision, that determination? Well, I base that on Luke chapter 20, where Jesus is in a political debate with the Sadducees. Now remember, the Sadducees do not even believe in a resurrection. They don't believe there's such a thing as a heaven to be gained and a hell to be shunned. And yet when they approach Jesus to trap him, the question that they raise is, well, what about the law of the Levirate? What about the law of marriage in heaven? So I want to read it to you, because there are some of you who don't agree with me that there is no marriage in heaven. It says, there came to him some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection. And they asked him a question, saying, Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife but no children, the man must take the widow and raise up offspring for her brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died without children. The second and the third took her, and likewise all 7 left no children and died. Afterward, the woman also died. Then they say, in the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 all had her as wife. You see what they're doing here? They're trying to trap him into taking sides with them that he does not believe in a resurrection. Because the Pharisees, the other political party of that day, believed in a resurrection, but the Sadducees did not. So they raise a question that presupposes there is a resurrection, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. So what they're doing is they're trying to trap him to say either he believes or doesn't believe in a resurrection. So they raise the emotional question of the law of the Levirate, which is, in heaven, who is married to who if the spouse dies here on earth and she remarries that spouse's brother? Well, Jesus answers profoundly the question. Later in the passage, he would say, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are worthy, who are considered worthy to attain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead, neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore. Now here's the point. Let's go all the way back to creation. Why did God create marriage in the first place? What is the purpose of marriage? Well, it's threefold. One, the purpose of marriage is to procreate children. You know, we study politically what's going on in China. China's had a one-child policy law for years. Now they don't have a tax base anymore. That's why they're economically in trouble. They don't have enough people. Even though they have billions of people, they don't have enough people. who have been born in China because of their abortion policy. So there are no people to carry the tax base. So what's one purpose of marriage? To procreate children. When you politicize that and you don't procreate children, when you have a one-child policy or you have a country that's laced with abortion, you're killing off your children. You're killing off your offspring, and God does not look at that favorably. There is a price to be paid on that, since one of the purposes of marriage is to procreate children. Secondly, one of the purposes of marriage is to fulfill the need sexually that both men and women have. Scriptures make that clear. It is better to marry than to burn in temptation. The third purpose of marriage is to illustrate between the husband and the wife the relationship between Christ and the church. When you understand that dynamically, and you then talk about heaven, you know why Jesus in Luke 20 made a distinction between marriage in this age and marriage in that age. In that age, there is no need for marriage any longer because people no longer die. There is no legacy to continue. The legacy is already intact. There is no need for sexual pleasure because all the pleasures we can possibly imagine are already ours. There's no more death, pain, sorrow, dysfunction, hatred. There's no death. There's no relationship breakdowns. None of that exists in heaven. No one dies in heaven. There is no heritage to preserve. It's all at the marriage supper of the Lamb. There is no need for us to indulge in earthly pleasures. Marriage is an earthly institution constructed for those three purposes. But when you get to heaven, the only of those three purposes left is the illustration of a husband and a wife in relationship to each other to illustrate the relationship of Christ to his church. But what is Christ called in heaven? The bridegroom. What is the church called? The bride. That relationship is eternal. So marriage is an earthly institution created to procreate the human race because we die. Children die. Spouses die. Legacies die. But there is no death in heaven. So there is no need for earthly marriage as we define it in heaven. So Jesus would later say, he said, in heaven, they neither marry nor are they given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore, because they are equal to the angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. But that the dead are raised, even Moses showed in the passage about the bush, where he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the Lord the God of Isaac, the Lord the God of Jacob. Now he was not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. And he answers their question by going all the way back to what's the purpose of marriage in the first place. It's to procreate the human race because we die. There is no death in heaven. So that's why he says in heaven, we're not like the present age. That's a different age. That's a different world. Read Matthew Henry's commentary on this particular passage in Luke 20. It just brings everything home. We're not talking about earth in heaven. We're talking about heaven as a different age. It has a different makeup. It has a different definition. Will we love our spouses in heaven? Of course we will. Will we love our husbands in heaven? Of course we will, if they're in heaven. But will we be married to them? No. The church is married to Christ, where we enjoy all the benefits of life in the Spirit of God. I hope this forever settles the question for you. Is there marriage in heaven? There's no need for it. It's an earthly institution to preserve the human race, because on earth we die. But in heaven there is no death. Hope this helps.
Hello, my name is Danielle Cantler, team member here at MARKINC Ministries. Thank you so much for your continued support of this video series. Ask Dr. Betters is not meant to be a substitute for professional counseling, but instead is designed to extract the biblical principles around the questions being asked. We encourage you to seek professional counseling if needed. Professional counselors are ready to assist you at Anchored Hope Biblical Counseling. See the links below for more information on Anchored Hope and all of the free resources we offer here at MARKINC Ministries. Thank you for watching and welcome to the MARKINC family.